Welcome. In this explainer, we're going to dig into a really cool high school project that tackles a huge question. How do you take a big, abstract idea, like a core value, and actually turn it into something physical? Something you can hold in your hand.
Think about it. Almost every school has a mission statement or some list of values, right? But a lot of the time, they just end up as words on a poster in the hallway. The real trick is getting students to actually connect with those ideas. So, how do you build that bridge from a concept to something real?
So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by talking about the challenge of making values tangible. Then we'll get into the specific principles they use called the Empower norms. After that, we'll see how a simple keychain project becomes the perfect solution, walk through the 5 engineering steps, check out how they design for meaning, and wrap it all up with the big, real-world takeaway.
Okay, so this is the heart of the problem. How do you make an idea like collaboration or resilience feel like more than just a word you have to memorize for a test? Well, this project has a really clever answer. You make students embed those values directly into the act of creating something.
The entire project is built on this foundation, a set of principles called the Empower student norms. And these aren't just rules for how to behave. They're really the mindset for how students are expected to learn, to work with each other, and even to lead.
These 7 norms are really the lifeblood of the school's culture. They guide everything, from productive struggle and risk-taking all the way to collective efficacy. These are the big ideas that students now have to try and make physical. Let's just zoom in on a couple of them so you get the idea.
First up, productive struggle. This is such a great concept. It's not about being afraid to fail. It's about seeing a tough challenge as a real opportunity to learn. It's this idea that the struggle itself is actually where all the growth happens. Next, we've got risk-taking. This one's all about encouraging students to try out new things, fresh ideas, even if there's a chance they might not work out. It's about seeing a potential flop as just another part of the process.
And then there's collective efficacy. This is basically the shared belief within a group that together they can absolutely succeed. It's all about teamwork, having each other's backs, and pushing forward to hit that common goal.
So the big question is, how do you bring these awesome ideas down to earth? The solution is honestly so simple and so smart. It's a small-scale engineering project, where students design a Student of the Week award in the form of a keychain.
And the goal for the students is super specific. They have to design a keychain that can be 3D printed, it has to be cool enough that a teenager would actually want to put it on their backpack, and, this is the most important part, it has to visually represent at least one of those Empower norms.
And this is where the project gets really real. It's not just a creative free-for-all. Students have to balance their awesome ideas with what's actually practical. The design requirements on the left tell them what the object needs to be. Flat, no sharp edges. But the manufacturing constraints on the right tell them what's actually possible to make with a 3D printer. Now, to guide them through this whole thing, students aren't just left to figure it out on their own. Nope. They follow a formal 5-step process for how to design something with purpose.
They use the 5-step engineering design process. It all starts with really clearly defining the problem. Then, they do their homework. They research the norms and look at existing designs for inspiration. After that, they start brainstorming and sketching out ideas before building 3D models. Then they test and tweak that model to get it ready for printing. And finally, and this is so important, they have to communicate their results, explaining the why behind every single design choice.
Okay, so this brings us to the real creative magic of the project. How in the world do you take an abstract value and turn it into a physical shape or a symbol? This is where that idea of intentional design really kicks in. Let's just use one of our examples. How would you design a keychain that represents collective efficacy? Seriously, what shapes or images pop into your head when you think about a team working together, totally believing they can win? And this is exactly how that thinking process works. For a big idea, like collective efficacy, a student's brainstorm might lead to all sorts of cool visual concepts. Maybe interlocking gears, where every single piece matters. Or a honeycomb pattern, showing how simple parts can build a super strong structure. Or maybe just linked hands, a really clear symbol of unity.
But turning that creative idea into a final project isn't just about the design itself. To actually complete this assignment and get a good grade, students have to turn in 2 key things. First, of course, is the actual 3D model, the Fusion design file that's all ready to go to the printer. But second, and this is just as important, is a short slide deck. This is where they have to explain which norm their design represents and why they chose that specific shape or symbol. The ability to communicate your intent is a huge part of the grade. So, let's zoom out. What's the bigger picture here? Well, this project is about so much more than just making a little plastic keychain. It's really about building a set of skills that are incredibly valuable, way beyond just an engineering class.
At the end of the day, what are they really learning here? It's not just how to use some 3D modeling software. They're learning design thinking, a super powerful way to solve problems creatively. They're learning how to be innovative while working within real limits, just like any job. And maybe most importantly, they're learning how to communicate the why behind their work, which is a critical skill no matter what you do in life.
The project guide leaves the students with this one final, powerful piece of advice. The goal isn't to make the most complicated, flashiest design you can think of. The goal is to create something with clear purpose and meaning. A simple, elegant design that gets its idea across effectively is always, always the winner.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Just look around you right now. What's an everyday object you see that you could redesign to give it a deeper meaning, to make it stand for a value that's really important to you? It's a pretty powerful exercise, and it's something anyone can try.